Hello, Bannermen, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Broken Banners. Today, we'll be participating in a battle report for the new game, Trench Crusade. The game is still in beta, but it has really awesome models, and let's get into it. Today, my opponent is Riley, and they are running the Expeditionary Forces at Abyssania. I am running the Court of the Seven Serpent, focusing on the sin of greed. Most of what was the ancient realm of Egypt now rests under the shadow of hell and stronghold of the servants of Prince of Greed, who's long dreamed of plundering the whole continent of its riches. Beautiful Alexandria and even mighty Cairo have fallen, their ports serving as anchorage for the heretic fleet and mustering grounds for the heretic legions as they strike south and west. War has honed the soldiers of Ethiopia into masters of mobile warfare and taking the enemy on in loose formation, a style of fighting well suited to their rugged country where few roads do not allow for easy movement of large armies. Today, the Praetor of Greed has decided to step foot and drive the expeditionary forces of Abyssania out of their stronghold. Will they succeed? Well, watch and find out. This is a quick pan around of the game board. 5 objectives: claim no man's land. I understand Trench Crusade is meant to have an absolute plethora of terrain. We were limited in terms of board space and stuff. So this is what we have. The next one will have even more. This game mode, if you have 2 people in a building, 1-on-1, neither person controls the objective. However, if a friend joins the other side, they will control the building. In this case, New Antioch now controls that point.
You also for being within 1 inch. So in this scenario, the court would get 2 points and New Antioch would get 1.
Perfect. I'll be bringing these models in order: a Wretch, a Yoke Fiend, a Hellhound, a Sin Eater, the Praetor, a Sorcerer, a Hell Knight, Hunter of the Left-Hand Path, a Trench Dog, and a Yoke Fiend. Riley will be bringing a Holy Warrior, an Observer, a Plain Jane Yeoman, a Sniper Yeoman, a Combat Engineer, a Lieutenant, a Yeoman with a musical instrument, a melee-focused Holy Warrior, a Combat Engineer, and finally, a Yeoman with a Flamethrower. Riley goes first and activates their Flamethrower Yeoman, moving them up and taking cover behind the building. On my turn, the Yoke Fiend's going to turn and kick the Hell Dog in the side, adding 2 blood markers with its torture instrument. Then, he's going to move over the sandbag barrier up to the door of the church, with then finally doing a successful dash to hide in the corner. On Riley's turn, the Sniper Yeoman attempts to climb the burned out building, unfortunately failing the risky action and ending the turn. On my turn, the Yoke Fiend with a shotgun activates. He turns, looks at the Trench Dog. His demonic black heart tells him to attack the dog with his torture instrument. Successfully, he lands 2 blood markers on the beast before moving into the building. On Riley's turn, they activate the Observer, moving up 8 inches into the structure because he's very fast. Sitting there, he attempts to use the voice of God on the Lieutenant. Act in his name! He fails. Uses the Eye of God to reroll, gets a success, activating the Lieutenant. Lieutenant attempts to dash, but fails the dash, ending the turn. On my turn, the Wretch activates, turning and stabbing the Hellhound with his knife, adding an additional blood marker, before dashing into the exterior wall of the ruined church. On Riley's turn, they activate the Plain Jane Yeoman, moving up and then attempting to dash, failing that dash, and his turn immediately ends. On my turn, the Hellhound's going to activate and do something that nobody believes is possible. That's right, he's going to run across no man's land into the church with the Yoke Fiend. On Riley's turn, they activate their combat engineer, moving up 6 inches, taking aim and shooting at the Hellhound. The first shot goes wide and misses, but the second shot hits. Riley uses the 3 blood markers on the dog and, as a result, puts it down with a blood marker. It's down, but not out. Riley then attempts to dash, but fails the dash. On my turn, the sorcerer is going to activate, flying 6 inches over the building to stand on the edge of the destroyed building. Using a goetic power, he throws a fireball. Using Blackheart, he increases that roll and hits, aiming squarely on the drummer boy, killing him, and dropping blood markers on every unit within the blast radius. Riley follows up the devastating attack of the sorcerer by activating the Holy Warrior, moving 6 inches up and using a medikit to try to heal. They were successful, giving a blessing to the other Holy Warrior. As a result, this Holy Warrior gets a blessing. They then take a risky action to dash successfully. Aims at the downed Helldog, shoots, hits, but only adds 1 blood marker. On my turn, the Trench Dog activates. Suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, he chases after its master, the Yoke Fiend, to hide next to the building. On Riley's turn, they activate their other Holy Warrior, sending the blessing marker to the combat engineer. Following this, they move 6 inches. They then take a risky action to dash. They are successful. Now they're at long range of the Hell Knight. They shoot, get a critical hit. Unfortunately, the Hell Knight's armor and the trench shield it has is too tough and only suffers 1 blood marker. On my turn, the pissed off Hell Knight activates, moving 6 inches, getting into range of the sorcerer's screaming head chorus, allowing an extra dice on the dash, which they're successful. At the corner of the building, he throws a grenade. Hits. Unfortunately, does not kill, only puts it down and adds 3 blood markers. Riley activates their other combat engineer, moving up and then dashing using the assistance of a blessing and is successful. The combat engineer takes aim and fires twice at the sorcerer, with a net result of 1 blood marker. The Praetor is going to activate. He's going to do something risky. He's going to dash, using a blood marker off the Helldog to increase the dice, and the Screaming Choir from the sorcerer. He succeeds. He then aims his Serpentine Rifle, shoots, hits a crit with a Bloodbath, -1 blessing, kills the combat engineer. He then takes aim with the rifle and shoots at the other combat engineer. Successful, does not wound. He then follows this up with a charge. Wielding his Malbranch sword, he swings down, splitting the combat engineer in half. Since Riley is out of activations, I go again. The Sin Eater moves up, and then, under the influence of the unholy screaming choir in the sorcerer's sack, he dashes successfully up underneath the tree. I go again, and the Hunter of the Left-Hand Path activates, teleporting through the tree using the blood markers from the Lieutenant, and jumping to the top of the building across the map. It turns, fires its bow at the Lieutenant, ignoring its armor, and instead leaves it with one blood marker. Not a great exchange for the Hunter. That is the end of round 1. The Court have a commanding lead over the forces of Abyssania, with several members of the forces of Abyssania falling to the might of the Court. Can the forces turn the tide of the battle and take it back? Find out in round 2. Round 1 score, 8-3. Because Riley has less models on the board, Riley goes first in round 2. They activate their Lieutenant, who moves up and shoots at the Hunter, adding 3 dice, twice with their rifle. The first shot leaves 1 blood marker. The second shot downs the Hunter. However, the Hunter does not fall off the building, just falling backwards on their little behind. The Lieutenant then orders the Combat Engineer successfully. Combat Engineer shoots twice at the Hunter. First time they hit, 2 blood markers. Second time, they miss. They then dash. Unfortunately, the dash is not successful. Responding to this horrific and unjustified attack on the Hunter, the Praetor activates, shooting at the Lieutenant twice, popping the Lieutenant's tough. Following this unfair result from shots, the Praetor dashes forward, pulling a blood marker off the Hell Dog with Blackheart, and then charges the Combat Engineer. Bringing that Malebranche sword to good use, he splits the Combat Engineer in half. Riley activates their Flamethrower Yeoman and attempts to burn out the Hunter of the Left-Hand Path from the building. They hit. Unfortunately, the Hunter of the Left-Hand Path has some hidden tricks up their cloak. Using 3 blood markers of the Lieutenant, they activate the ability Oracle Cloak, negating the effects of the attack. After the attack is negated, the Yeoman ducks into the building. On my turn, the Sin Eater activates, attempting to eat the delicious Flamethrower Yeoman, failing to dash by rolling the Dark One's eyes. Riley activates their Sniper Yeoman, moving 6 inches and shooting at the Hunter. They hit, leaving only 1 blood marker. Then they attempt to dash, which they fail. Needing to refill their blood stores, the Yoke Fiend activates, attacking the Hell Dog with the Torture Instrument, adding 2 blood markers onto the dog. On Riley's turn, they activate the Observer, attempting to dash successfully forward. Following that, they charge the Yoke Fiend, stabbing him successfully and sending him back to hell where he belongs. Turning the spear, he attempts to stab the dog. Unfortunately for the forces of New Abyssania, he misses. On my turn, the Hunter is going to activate, standing up and firing an arrow at the Lieutenant. Ignoring its armor, he fires, spends 2 blood markers to add 3 dice to the attack, and leaves the Lieutenant with 2 blood markers. Again, not a great exchange. Riley activates their Holy Warrior, moving 6 inches up, taking aim and firing at the Trench Dog, hitting and leaving 1 blood marker on the dog. Following this up, they attempt to bless the Yeoman and are successful. The Sorcerer, not wanting to be left out from the fight, activates, throwing another fireball, sending 2 blood markers off the Hell Dog and an additional blood marker using Blackheart off the Trench Dog, landing squarely on the Lieutenant and spending 2 blood markers off the Lieutenant. It kills the Lieutenant. The Sniper Yeoman activates and moves into cover, claiming the objective. With Riley out of activations, I finish off the round. The Hell Knight moves up into the house. Following this, the Wretch also moves, attempts to dash, but fails. The Hellhound stands firm. The Trench Dog turns and bites at the Observer, hitting and dealing 1 blood marker. Since half of their army has been slaughtered by the forces of greed, Riley must make a morale check or lose the game instantly. They are successful. The fight goes on. Moving on to round 3, the forces of Abyssania are hanging on by a thread. With the score being 14 to Court and 7 to Abyssania, we'll see if in round 3 they can dig deep and pull a victory against the forces of hell. Riley once again goes first as they have fewer models on the table. Activating the Sniper Yeoman. It aims, shoots at the Hunter, and hits. The shot pierces deep and kills the Hunter. The Yeoman then dashes back into cover. I activate the Wretch and attempt to dash, successfully. Then, I charge the Flamethrower Yeoman, attempting to take him down with my knife. I stab. I miss. The Flamethrower Yeoman activates and attempts to run away from the Wretch, effectively dodging the knife attack. Turning to face the Praetor, he ignites his flamethrower and sends a ball of fire his way, dealing 1 blood marker. Being the smartest man on the battlefield, he attempts to dash and successfully runs even further away from the Praetor. The Yoke Fiend once again activates and stabs the dog, putting 2 blood markers on it. Riley activates the Observer, turns and stabs the dog twice. First time hits, downs it and leaving with a blood marker. Second stab, hits, spends the blood marker, and kills the dog. I activate the Praetor and move him towards the Sniper Yeoman. Turning to face, the Praetor takes a shot, killing the Sniper Yeoman. Following this, the Praetor dashes up to threaten the other side of the board. Riley activates their Holy Warrior and moves him up, takes aim and shoots at the Praetor. Hits and spends the blood marker on the Praetor, knocking him down with 1 blood marker. Following this, the Holy Warrior dashes up into cover. I activate the Sorcerer and attempt to throw a fireball at the Plain Jane Yeoman hanging out in the back, spending a blood marker off the Hellhound to power Black Heart. But Riley spends a Blessing marker to make me roll with -1 dice, meaning I have to throw 3 dice and take the 2 lowest. Unfortunately for Riley, I roll all 6s, blasting the Foolish Yeoman into the afterlife. Since Riley has no activations remaining, I will finish things off. The Hell Knight activates and passes. The Sea Eater moves and then attempts to dash into the building, but fails the roll. Finally, the Hell Knight activates and charges the Holy Warrior. Hits him for 2 blood markers. Needing to roll a 7 for their morale test at the end of the round, Riley rolls and throws a 6. The forces of New Abyssania rout and flee, looking to regroup and fight another day. Real quick, I want to throw out some thank yous before I discuss the game. So, primarily, thank you, Riley, for recording this video with me, not once, but twice. Big fan, and thanks so much for devoting some time with me to get this done. Also, thank you to Game Castle in Maryland for allowing us to use their store and terrain to film this video. Now, as to Trench Crusade, big fan. From what I understand, it's very difficult for New Antioch to fight into Court because the more they get hurt, the more powerful Court becomes. I think the batteries of Wretched and Trench Dogs and Hell Dogs being used to fuel Goetic spells might change in the future. It feels kind of dirty to use. That being said, no matter how many points you spend on a model, they seem to be able to die in an instant on a bad roll. My Praetor could have just gotten slapped right at the end there, and he is a critical part of my army. As for army size, this was 900 ducats and 9 glory points. So if you have any questions or want to see anything in the future in the video, please drop in the comments below. I spent a little bit more time making this atmospheric and awesome, so I hope it came across. And lastly, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Love you. Bye.